Well, come on along and welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle coming to you, of course, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Jake's at the wheel, keeping us on the track. Hope your day's off to a good start. If not, hopefully we can get you headed in that right direction because it's going to be a great day. It's Friday, and we only do things big on Fridays. On the program today, of course, our good friend Todd Leary joins us. Also, we'll be joined by Indiana head football coach Tom Allen. He makes another appearance here. What grateful to have Coach Allen on the show today. Looking forward to that. Lots to talk about Indiana baseball and the Big Ten tournament. Michael Lewis making big news. Indy 500, NBA action. A new offer for basketball, and the big time football quarterback will be coming to camp. But lots to get to. Hit us up on the text line 812-269-6367. Feel free to do so. Looking forward to talking to it's a two for Friday. Tom and Todd. Tom Allen, Todd Leary on the show. Looking forward to that. Indiana baseball yesterday in the Big Ten tournament. Not a good showing as they are eliminated after going 0-2 in Omaha. I'm looking forward to talking to Coach Mercer here the next, probably early in the week, as they prepare for the NCAA tournament. The draw will be made on Monday. I'll probably, if that's possible, we'll probably be there with them when that happens. But I'm wondering if they had a little strategy backfire, and I'm just spitballing, but you know, Andrew Saalfrank, he didn't pitch in either of those two games out in Omaha. Obviously not wanting to use him with the NCAA tournament looming, because I'm sure they figured that they're not going to host anyway, which there were some people saying, oh, there's an outside shot. There really wasn't a shot for him to host. I mean, even if they had won the Big Ten tournament, that might have been a possibility, but I really don't think so. But they get swept out of Omaha 0-2. They can't get the wood on the ball, man. No pun intended, because they use aluminum bats, but not a lot of hitting. And one of the top scoring team in the Big Ten this year was Indiana. I think they averaged 7 runs a game. They don't achieve that. They lead the nation in home runs, yet did not hit a single home run in that big spacious ballpark in Omaha in those 2 games. One of their hallmarks. But now they'll get back to playing in normal college ballparks. Not that they're that much smaller. That park has a big league feel to it. TD Ameritrade Park. It has a big league feel as far as size and how spacious it is. It looks very relaxing. Look like you grab a lawn chair and find you a spot out in left center somewhere. But, not a good outing. I think I saw in the IDS, Indiana Daily Student, the student-run newspaper, that Indiana's 2-8 in their last few runs in Omaha. That's the first time since 2016 that the Big Ten champion was swept out of Omaha, I believe I also saw. But, oh well, they'll get another shot as they'll be heading to the NCAA tournament, no doubt. If that draw comes up around noon on Monday, we'll be there with complete coverage, of course, as we have been all season. Following the Indiana baseball program, let's see what they can get done. Big news for our good friend of the show and former Indiana basketball player Michael Lewis, as it was confirmed yesterday. He is go West, young man. He was out in Los Angeles yesterday, and I saw he tweeted a picture of a bag from In-N-Out Burger. Man, I should have had Jake ready for that. I could have pulled up some Big Lebowski. Can we go to the Big In-Out Burger? Yes, Donnie. Had a picture of the In-N-Out bag. Said, now let's see what all the fuss is about. It's okay. You know what? That's so funny that such a fuss is made about In-N-Out burgers. I'm a Whataburger man myself.
I'm team Steak and Shake.
You know what?
Keep it local.
Well, why don't you buy yourself a franchise? You know, I saw, it's funny, they're like, I don't know if they're in bankruptcy or what's going on. Several of the stores have closed, but I don't think it's a permanent thing. But I saw a deal yesterday where they're offering, and this was on the Steak and Shake Twitter site, that they're offering franchisees for a minimum investment of $10,000. And then you split the profits. That's not a big investment.
No, it's not as big as other franchises.
No, well, hell no. Most of them are $250,000.
Yeah.
10 grand. Normal people can afford that, which is a hell of an opportunity. I mean, considering the fact you could go get a business loan for that. So there you go. Why don't you? There's one here in Bloomington that's probably up for the offing. Hit it up, man. Steak burger, Steak and Shake. Their fries are awesome.
Oh,
burgers are a little thin.
Well, I mean, it's a smash burger. I mean, that's what you get.
Smash burger, all right. It looks like a paper burger.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you get at In-N-Out.
No, it's not.
I mean, the patty is small like that.
Not as flat as a Steak and Shake, man. That's like a slice of paper.
Well, I mean,
as my old football coach used to call them, a slice of paper. Take yourself without a slice of paper. Elmer Murray.
They're cutting back costs, so obviously.
You got to double up, man. But, yeah, nothing compares to Whataburger, baby. Whataburger is the stuff. We don't have those in the Midwest. They're down in the Southwest and South Florida. Their fries are awesome. They got spicy ketchup. Ketchup infused with some jalapeno. Oh, yeah, it's the stuff. No doubt. Indianapolis 500 coming up this weekend. Weather permitting. I haven't gotten to be involved in the Indy 500 much this year. Yesterday was carb day. The rain came and went early, so actually, or is that today that they move it to today? It used to be on Thursday. So did they change that? Foreigner's going to play the 2019 Carb Day concert. So is that today actually instead? I thought it was yesterday. It used to be. It is Friday. A muggy atmosphere and a high temperature of 84 degrees predicted for Friday, according to the Weather Authority forecast from Fox 59 in Indianapolis. So there you go. Carb days today. Man, they changed it. Shows you how up to date on the Indy 500 I am. But how about Foreigner's going to be there? So it's urgent that you get to Carb Day. Come on, man. Jake's shaking his head. I've been waiting. I thought it was yesterday, but I'm still waiting for a carb like you. Man, I could go on all day.
You don't have
the
to.
NBA, what's that?
I said you don't have to.
Yeah, I know. It's please stop. Please stop. The NBA, It's starting to dwindle, man. Not a lot of action going on. Toronto leads that series 3-2 over the Milwaukee Bucks. They were in Toronto tomorrow for an opportunity for the Canadians, the Canucks, to close it out. No timetable for the return of OG Anunoby, though. I'm not sure even if they make the finals that he can make it back.
Even if he was available, he probably wouldn't play since he hadn't played in the playoffs.
He's so out of shape, and you're coming back from a freaking, I mean, I guess you'd consider that major surgery.
Yeah, any surgery that you get an organ taken out.
Yeah, if you get an organ taken out, yeah, that's probably major surgery. It's no big deal. I just had a little bit of my spleen cut off. New basketball offer for IU basketball, Hassan Diarra. We'll talk about that a little bit more in depth and later on in the show. You know, we talked about the football camps. We'll talk about those with Coach Allen today on the show. But big-time quarterback from Lafayette Jeff High School, Gladiator Maximus Grimes. I'm on a roll today, man. You didn't even pick that up on that one. The Gladiator Maximus Grimes. How about a name there for a quarterback? Come on. What was the doggone it? I was on such a roll. Who's the actor that played Gladiator?
Russell Crowe.
Yeah, Russell Crowe. I can see Russell Crowe in an IU football helmet right now, strolling up to the line with his old-time kilt or whatever they wore, sandals, stepping up to center. Are you not entertained? Big-time numbers for Maximus. Last year he threw for nearly 3,500 yards, 49 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. That's a pretty damn good number ratio. He's a strapping young lad, 6'2", 200 pounds. He goes to Lafayette Jeff High School. You talk about busy. This dude's going camping. And I mean camping. From June 1st to 16th, so during basically a 2-week period in the first 2 weeks of June, he will be at Indiana. He'll be at Notre Dame. He'll be at South Carolina, North Carolina, Purdue, Ohio State, and Penn State. That dude's on tour, man. And that's basically what it is. He's on a tour showing his wares. We got a lot coming up on the show, as I said. A lot to talk about as I've laid it out. Happy for Michael Lewis, man. Look forward to talking about that. And Michael will be joining us here probably next week, I'd say. Tom Allen on the show today. Todd Leary on the show today. Man, it's big time, as always, here on Indiana Sports Beat. We're back with more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. What do we got coming up next? There you go. Scott Agnes, Reboot, coming up next. Back with more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Now he needs to keep it rocking. You just can't stop. Gotta keep on rocking. That boy has got to stay on top and be a jukebox hero. Got stars in his eyes. He's a jukebox hero. Got stars in his eyes. Yeah, jukebox hero.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs, Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. It's Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat.
And I'm Justin Kalen with Indiana Sports Beat.
Justin, what's your favorite show?
It's got to be Indiana Sports Beat, but I'm not ever sure where to find it.
Well, you can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for it each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, you want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
Hi, this is AJ Moye, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Jim Coyle with you as always, and as we are each week, we are fortunate to be joined by our good friend of the show, Scott Agnes from The Athletic. Scotty, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Jim. How are you?
I was just trying to stay dry, man. Are you staying afloat with all the rain we've had?
I know. It's awful. And the only thing that really concerns me, and I think others this weekend, is the race. We need good weather for Carb Day on Friday. We need good weather for the race day on Sunday. I know some would want Memorial Day to be nice, but that's the second in line in my priority list. How about you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and the race, the Indianapolis 500, of course, what we're talking about. It's such a big, not just an Indianapolis thing, but it's a statewide thing. I mean, it's an Indiana thing. It's just an iconic event, period. Obviously, it's been going on for over 100 years, but it's such a big event. It's international, and it's a lot of eyes on Indiana and Indianapolis over this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's several little things that interest me. Of course, in the sports media world, it's NBC taking over the broadcast from ABC. So you got one of my favorites, Mike Tirico, hosting the whole thing. And NBC's really gone and done things big this week. We're seeing so many different people brought in to wave the green flag and things like that. Like Tom Hanks, he's in town right now to do those sorts of things. Weather, curious how that pans out, and also how we saw the Chevys really dominating qualifying. Will that continue?
And I know that the Today Show was there, I think. There's all, like you said, there's all kinds of things that are going on that they've really tried to incorporate. I mean, NBC is trying to make it a big, and the sheer fact that they took it from it, or ABC's not doing it anymore, that's a big deal. I mean, they've had that thing forever.
Yeah, and the concerning part, Jim, obviously, is why would you want to give it up? And it's clear that it just wasn't a valuable enough possession that it was worth their money or their interest or the time that it takes to produce such a quality event like that. And the reality of the situation is outside the state, there's just not much viewership. It is down dramatically. I know back when I was working on a radio show myself, while we had random guests on, talk about the NBA draft or whatever is going on, we'd throw in at the very end, tell me anything about the race, or are you following it, or do you know when it is? And half the people would think it's NASCAR. So for us, we got to get out of our bubble a little bit and realize nationally, it's just not much of a story, sadly. And that's one thing that they really need to work on. And it can start by NBC in this race trying to capture a national audience.
And NASCAR suffered, I don't know how their TV ratings are, but I know from fans in the stands perspective, they've suffered drastically as well. There's so many races that when they're on TV, if I see them, man, there's a lot of empty seats at those places.
Yeah, and that's just a matter of how TV is the valuable commodity. We see it in baseball and even in NBA games sometimes. TV runs everything. That's where the dollars are, and that's what provides the money for all this. That's why we see NCAA basketball games and bowl games that sometimes can be half empty when they're held in big sites and all that situation. One thing, Jim, I'm telling you, this is one thing the Speedway has to change, and they've got to lift the blackout. Now, this only concerns anyone in the central area. I think about 70 miles within the city. But that's how you grow the next generation, is you get people hooked on the race. You get people intrigued by the race. You sell it by TV. So a 6-year-old boy and a 7-year-old sister are watching the race and are like, Dad, I want to go to this. I think that's another big thing that's missing in all of this.
And you add to that exactly what you're saying, with NBC doing all those extra things on TV, it would certainly behoove the folks here close by that they get to see that.
Yeah, and I think my group is kind of perhaps the last generation that grew up with the race and not expecting it on TV. I know in my early days, I'd wake up, my parents were gone at the race, and then I'd watch all the breakfasts at the Brickyard. That's all what the TV shows are saying. I remember all this. They'd get home from the race, we'd get pizza, and we'd watch the whole race over again. And for us, of course, it was the first time. It's all about establishing the traditions and those little passions for kids and their families. And I think that's, for so many people in these current generations, that's what's missing.
Yeah, and I don't think that they realize right now that not keeping all these traditions, not just the Indianapolis 500. I mean, there's so many different things that when they go away and they're gone, then people look back and they start to miss them and whatnot. But it's too late, because once you lose the magic and you let it go, it's really hard to get that magical feeling back again.
Yeah, I see this as just kind of the blackout of being very short-sighted in that it will keep us from selling tickets. Well, not really. To me, the Indy 500 is an experience. It's you want to go tailgate. It's you want to see the balloons. You want to see back home again in Indiana. You want to walk around and just be exposed to all the crazy things, the funny things, the nostalgia that comes with all this. It's truly an experience. It's not like you show up for 2 hours. You really make a full day of it. And so I don't think ticket sales would be drastically lowered because they aired it locally. And I'd love to see that change, at least on a trial basis. Give it a try for 5 years.
You mentioned baseball earlier. Indiana baseball played today. Since we've spoken last, they've won a Big Ten championship. Jeff Mercer's been named Big Ten Coach of the Year. Andy Saalfrank was the Pitcher of the Year. The IU baseball program is continuing to fly high.
Yeah, and I remember back when I was going to games at Simbauer Field, and this was basically just at the dorm rooms, and I had several guys on the baseball team on my floor, and they were just on the cusp of breaking through. Now it really feels, right, like this baseball team's broken through. They've won this Big Ten championship. They've gone to Omaha multiple times now. They've had coaches leave for better offers. Those are all positive signs in terms of a program, and I think now that's what they need for other programs to do in terms of IU sports. And that's something that I think IU graduates and current IU students can be very proud of, and hopefully the students continue to support it.
Yeah, they get great crowds at the Bart, man. Bart Kaufman Field, since they've been, you mentioned Simbauer, and it was basically a high school baseball field, and probably not a very good one at that.
Jim, I was going to say middle school. I've been to several high school baseball diamonds here in central Indiana. They're way better.
But Bart Kaufman's a great place to watch a game, and they get great crowds out there. The Big Ten tournament got underway yesterday out in Omaha. Unfortunately, Indiana on the losing end to Iowa, the number 8 seed. Indiana's the number 1 seed in that tournament. Iowa's number 8 seed, and they lost 4-2 to the Hawkeyes. Fortunately, Michigan and Illinois, 2 of the other top seeds, also lost yesterday. It was a weird day for Big Ten baseball.
Well, and fortunately, though, it's not single elimination. So they have an opportunity here to come back and fix what they messed up, right?
Absolutely. They play again later today, and we'll check in on that. Probably the biggest story going on here in the last couple of days has been the search for the Michigan basketball coach, which has come to an end because they named their guy in Juwan Howard, which he became a front runner. He had a lot of support from the quote-unquote Fab Five group, and some funny comments, I thought, from people like Jalen Rose and Chris Webber talking about getting Michigan back to a culture and talking about not having had McDonald's All-Americans under John Beilein, which is kind of ironic since he won 2 Big Ten titles in that time and the Fab Five won 0.
To me, I don't mind this hire, but it is curious to me because it completely goes away from what appeared to be everything that Beilein had established there, the culture of getting guys maybe that flew under the radar, not getting the Mr. Basketballs and not getting those 5 stars, yet creating a culture where you win, you graduate, and you have a successful program that now you could say has reached Final Four a couple of times and had a chance. To me now, this kind of perhaps is looking for a shortcut and follows a theme, Jim, that we've seen, I think, from so many other programs. Most recently, you look to Memphis with Penny Hardaway and Mike Miller. They're gobbling up all these 5 stars, but the proof will be in the pudding here over the next couple of years in terms of do they get guys to stay through? Because one thing we saw with Beilein is he had so many 4-year players. Now, occasionally he'd even push guys off the team a little bit and move on, but he did not have a ton of one-and-dones come through his program. So I'm glad Juwan Howard's getting an opportunity to coach here. I think he did, in fact, pay his dues for, I think, 6 years as an assistant coach for the Miami Heat. But this is a different beast. This is now a coach's world, being in college, and it's a key for him to surround himself with college coaches that have experience in recruiting, something he's never had to do, and coaching guys that are not fully mature, that are 18, 19, 20 years old.
Yeah, he certainly had a lot of success. Speaking of John Beilein, not having those 5 stars, he won 2 big titles. He made it to 2 national championship games. That's a pretty daggone good run.
It absolutely is, and I don't fault him at all for wanting to try something new. That's kind of been his thing, is he moves on, and it seems like, Jim, that he's going to be a coach for life, much like we've seen from Larry Brown. This is just what he believes he's meant to do, and a reason he gets up each morning. It's what he thrives off of, and so an opportunity for Beilein now with the Cavs where not a lot of expectations. You got some draft picks, and you got several guys on the roster currently, and probably many more to be added that really need developed in coaching, much like he did at Michigan.
Talk with our good friend Scott Agnes from The Athletic. You mentioned Memphis, and my next question a minute ago was going to ask, do you think that had an effect on Michigan's hire of Juwan Howard, the success that they've seen Penny Hardaway have down there recruiting-wise?
Perhaps a little bit. I mean, how could it not to an extent? But at the same time, to me, this signals also the re-welcoming back of the Fab Five and that whole group. And you're seeing all kinds of support around the NBA for one of their own being hired into a position that's not based on skill and dominating other. It's based on their mind, ability to connect with players, and to strategically help craft young men. And so I think in Juwan Howard, he has that assistant coach pedigree, and he's one of their own. And it clearly seemed like that was meaningful in this coaching search, where not all the time that is necessarily the case.
Talk about recruiting. Well, look, Indiana is not having quite that same success right now. They've got a couple of great guys coming in, obviously, with Trace Jackson Davis and with Armand Franklin, and you can add Joey Brunk to that. He's not a part of the recruiting class per se, but he's coming in regardless, nonetheless. And a lot of people are thinking, well, man, they're going to be short. The only thing that concerns me is having 11 guys on the roster, 11 scholarship guys versus 13, because of what happened to them last year with the rash of injuries.
Yeah, that's certainly of concern. I'm not one that at this early still here gets too concerned. I think they'd really like to add at least one more player, one more scholarship player, and then it wouldn't surprise me to get a couple walk-ons as well to the roster. But I think it's important for Archie Miller to build it the right way, the way in which he feels is right. And we just talked about perhaps a couple of schools rushing some things. That's not how you build a stable, long-term successful program. It might be a shortcut. It might work in the first couple of years, but I don't see that being sustainable. Something Archie is trying to do is just that. So for me, I'm holding back another year or two, reserving judgment on what Archie and his style, both in recruiting and coaching. But then the proof, we'll need to see something. We'll need to see them compete for a Big Ten title and get in on more of these players, I think, outside the state. Although, with that said, we also have to note how he's gotten Mr. Basketball in this state the last couple of years, and that was number one atop the list I know that Fred Glass wanted when he was hiring this current coach.
Yeah, he's really turned his focus back. A lot of the offers that you've seen go out for the 2020 class, a lot of Indiana kids in that class that they're looking at. And I know the fans, that's really important to them a lot. I had Brian Evans on the show the other day, and he talked about that as well. But one of the funny things is he brought to note was when he started out on the team, there were, I think, 11 of the 13 were Indiana kids. And when he left, 2 were Indiana kids.
Yeah, no, you want to bring back that core of Indiana guys, get the best of the best here. But then if you want to be an elite national program, I think you also need to grab a couple players nationally and bring all those guys together. And the one thing I'm curious to see here, Jim, with Archie is whether he really goes after the one-and-dones and what kind of success he ultimately has here. I know we see some programs stray away from it. Others have kind of joined in the chorus, like the Kentuckys, Dukes, and Memphis is here as of late. Can you have success without getting some one-and-dones? And although that may need to change here in the next couple of years, as we all expect the rule to change from the NBA, allowing players to go straight to the NBA out of high school.
Yeah, the one thing that he hasn't done, and he's talked, I've heard him say it multiple times, about not just using a scholarship for the sake of using it, and not to knock on, say, Tom Crean, but there were many times where he would pretty much just sign anybody. And I don't want to, again, knock on somebody, but Tim Priller was like the 350th ranked player in the country, and he got a scholarship to Indiana. Yeah,
that was a matter of, I think, him feeling a little desperate, knowing maybe his job was beginning to be in jeopardy, and he needed a big man. So, yeah, he threw out an offer for a guy that I know some people thought initially, some reporters that follow this stuff, didn't even report it, because they didn't think it was accurate. They thought it was a joke that this kid got a commitment.
Hey, what are you working on that the people need to find in The Athletic from you?
Well, this is timely. So just posting here, coming up later today, we'll get a chance, readers will, to read about how, get this, Jim, the last 3 Indiana Mr. Basketballs are all hoping to be drafted right now. And obviously we've seen all kinds of success going back as recent as Caleb Swanigan in 2015. But then after that, the next 3, you're talking about Chris Wilkes, Kyle Guy, and Romeo Langford. All 3 have a very good chance of being drafted coming up in June. And so I talked to each of them at the draft combine.
That's an awesome story, man. What's your take on that? All those guys, has that ever happened before where 3 Mr. Basketballs have been in the same draft?
As far as I could find, not in the same class. Now, 9 of the last 11 all played NBA minutes, and 8 of them were all drafted, but not to the point where one class was loaded with them because they were spaced out a little bit more.
That's a pretty incredible thing. But make sure you find him if you're not a member. You probably need to get that taken care of. Scott Agnes at The Athletic does a great job. Scott, I can't thank you enough, man. We appreciate you every week, brother.
Good to be honest with you, and I should point out, since it is race weekend, Jim, just yesterday we added auto sports, so you can get Indy 500, IndyCar, and WNBA coverage now on The Athletic. So whatever you like, we've got it.
And I saw the follow-up on the WNBA that they added an entire roster of writers specifically to cover the WNBA.
Absolutely. And so every team has one writer assigned to them. And I think what's really cool, too, is it's a woman covering this women's sport as well. So I think that's a real opportunity because so many women are already in broadcasting. There's so much competition, but not many have ventured into journalism, into writing. And so maybe this is one way that'll expose everyone, especially young girls, that's an opportunity if they want to choose that route.
Yeah, and if it's funny is I recently had a conversation with the new Indiana soccer coach, women's coach, and he's from Europe. And I was talking to him about the differences between there and over here. Obviously, we know that soccer is a mainstay in Europe. It's the number one sport in the world outside of the United States, but it's slow catching on here. But he talked about when he first came over coaching guys, and they weren't really that good. He'd go back over there and coach guys, and they could really just dominate over here. But he said when he came over to coach girls, he was surprised. He goes, the girls were much better over here than they are over there. And obviously, to me, it's because of the Title IX and everything. But that was just something I never thought about.
Yeah, there's so much talent. The one thing I push to people is just give it a chance. May not be for everybody, but you know what? It is so talented. I grew up and actually worked for the Fever in the league for 10 years, so I know all about that. And it's really fun, and they play hard every single night. It's fun to watch. And the season's starting here soon. Absolutely.
Make sure you find him, Scott Agnes, in The Athletic. Thank you very much, brother. Appreciate you.
All right, talk to you later, Jim.
Have fun at the race. Scott Agnes from The Athletic joining us as he does every week. That'll wrap it up for right now. We'll be back with more here on Indiana Sports Beat right after this. Back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios.
The night, we're laughing and I'm joking and we're feeling alright. Oh, I'm back. I'm nationwide. Yes, I'm back.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat.
And I'm Justin Kalen with Indiana Sports Beat.
Justin, what's your favorite show?
It's got to be Indiana Sports Beat, but I'm not ever sure where to find it.
Well, you can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for it each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us research program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become one in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
This is former Indiana basketball player Greg Green. Keep up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Boom, 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 boom. Gonna shoot you right down. Right off of your feet.
Welcome back to the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle here. Jake's at the wheel, keeping us on the track appropriately on this Indianapolis 500 weekend. Carb Day is today. Hopefully the rain stays away. Lots of stuff to talk about, lots of stuff to get to. Tom Allen's on the show today. Indiana football coach Tom Allen. Grateful to have him back for the third time. Our good friend Todd Leary will be with us as well. Indiana baseball eliminated from the Big Ten tournament as they lose to Minnesota yesterday. They go 0-2 in Omaha. The good thing about that is they'll have their longest break of the season as they prepare for the NCAA tournament. Their destination unknown. It will be determined Monday at noon with the selection show. We'll have complete coverage of that. We'll have to get Joe Healy back on from Baseball America. Not a lot of NBA action. Milwaukee is at Toronto tomorrow. Toronto leads that series 3-2. There's no timetable for the return of OG Anunoby, former Hoosier. I don't think there's any visits this weekend for IU basketball. Hassan Diarra is the latest to receive an offer, though, in the 2020 class. But there will be some visits next weekend, and we'll be on that. I think maybe potentially Trey Galloway, Anthony Leal. Indiana football will be welcoming in Lafayette Jeff quarterback and Gladiator Maximus Grimes to their camp on June 1st. Maximus will be a busy man. In a 2-week period, he'll be going from Indiana to Notre Dame, South Carolina, North Carolina, Purdue, Ohio State, Penn State. A lot of visits, man. He threw for nearly 3,500 yards last season, 49 touchdowns against only 7 interceptions.
Could say he's maximizing the number of visits he could take.
You should have given yourself a rim shot. Absolutely. Juwan Howard, of course, named head coach at Michigan. Could be a good hire. I don't know. I've seen a lot of people say, it's a great hire. Jay Billis said it was a great hire. You know, the Fab Five. That cracks me up is the Fab Five people are just falling over this. It's like, hey, we got control. We got control. Kind of a weird thing since that group was part of a bad theme for Michigan basketball that saw wins vacated. They didn't have any championships vacated because they didn't win any championships. We'll talk about that a little bit. Something I definitely want to talk about. How about Muppet Mark Emmert? Pat Forty and Pete Thamel, I think Pete Thamel was on this with him. They reported a big-time salary for Jim Haney. Mr. Haney. He's pulling down $1 million a year just to be the National Association of Basketball Coaches executive director. That ain't a bad gig if you can get it. Wow. That probably used to just come with a little stipend back in the day. Now it's $1 million salary. But that's nothing compared to the 60% increase in salary that Muppet Mark Emmert received. The eternally embattled Emmert received a 60% increase in compensation between September of 2017 and August of 2018, according to the NCAA's 990 financial disclosure. Emmert's pay skyrocketed from $2.4 million the previous year to $3.9 million, thanks to what was described as a one-time $1.4 million deferred payment that was written into his contract. This is ridiculous. It comes on the heels, well, not exactly on the heels, but not too long ago, Kansas signs that whopper deal with Adidas. Right in the middle, all of this stuff is going on right in the middle of while the sport is embattled with an FBI corruption scandal. But let's don't hide from it. Let's just flaunt it. We're all getting paid, baby. It's payday. I don't know what's worse, what Kansas did or what Muppet Mark Emmert. This for Muppet Mark. Muppet Mark needs to be gone. The NCAA needs to be blown up. If you don't recall, Adidas signed with Kansas, a new deal. Whopper was $96 million. You know, you've got Bill Self texting Brandon Dawkins thanking him for his help landing either Sousa or whoever it was that he was talking about. I don't recall. You got Muppet Mark Emmert making now nearly $4 million a year while he just sits there and looks like a Muppet and talks about how everybody else is going to do something while they do nothing because they're incompetent. He must be a smart incompetent because he's making $4 million a year. I'd like to know who makes that decision. Who thinks that this is a good look? Yeah, let's do that. This is a good idea. You're doing such a great job. Let's give you this ridiculously exorbitant salary. Soapbox time. It's a joke. NCAA's a joke. Mark Emmert's a joke. It is what it is. Something else that I wanted to talk about, I'll probably bleed this over to the next segment, but why is it that Fred Glass receives so much slack from people? I've been guilty of that in the past, but the more I thought about it and think about it, yeah, basketball's not going the way people want it right now. But you don't know how that's going to go. I don't know how it's going to go. It's been 2 years. Instead of saying, well, he's got to get 4 years, but bitching along the way, just let him have the 4 years, man. Let him. It's going to be there anyway. So Why complain about it, people? It is what it is. It's going to be – it's got to run its course. It'll either work or it won't work. But Fred Glass he gets a lot of slack. If you look at overall the Indiana programs, they're doing pretty well. Look at all the so-called minor sports that are doing so well. I mean, yeah, we can lock on baseball because they got kind of bum rushed out of the Big Ten tournament, but they had a hell of a season, man. They just won the Big Ten tournament. Swimming and diving is back to the old glory days. They're third in the nation this year. Men's soccer still flying high, coming off of back-to-back appearances at the College Cup. The football stadium looks pretty cool. It's enclosed. It's a good-looking stadium. You know, Mitchell Page is on with us a lot. He talks about how good-looking it is. Product on the field's got to reflect that, but I got to be honest with you. Tom Allen, what to me looked like a bad hire in the beginning, I've come to be nothing but impressed with what he has done. Yeah, the product, the results are not on the field yet, but I think it's coming. The things he's done recruiting-wise, amazing, off the chart. It hasn't been done before. Women's basketball made the NCAA. No, they didn't make. Did they make the NCAA last year? Didn't make it, but heading in the right direction. Terry Morin doing a hell of a job. You've got volleyball. He got a new building for volleyball and wrestling. New wrestling coach, Angel Escobedo. He's got the 16th ranked recruiting class coming in. Women's golf just made the NCAA tournament for the first time in a number of years. That's just a lot of good stuff, man. And I'm sure there's more that I haven't touched on.
Facility upgrades across the board. Cook Hall, the football stadium, Bart Kaufman Field. I mean,
the Bart Kaufman happened before him, right?
No, it was being built whenever I was in school. And
okay, well, there you go. There's another feather in the cap. I mean, Indiana has as good a facility. The golf course is being redone right now. It'll be top notch when it's completed. Top notch. So why is it that he received so much guff from the fans? Curious as to that. Is it just a position that people like to dislike? I don't think that's the theme everywhere. And I know that happens a lot. The athletic directors are kind of a catch-all.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a scapegoat that people can complain about, even though I think a lot of it comes from basketball, but people don't realize that he's not the basketball director. He's the athletic director.
Yeah, I mean, but the results of basketball is directly tied to him by the fans. And they're not happy right now. Basketball drives the ship. There's no doubt. Indiana basketball drives the ship. And when it's not going well, things seem overall to be not going well, but that's not the case. It couldn't be further from the truth, as a matter of fact. And that jury's just out and is yet to be determined. So I include myself in those that have been not the greatest in seeing that office, but I'm telling you, I'm also the person that could say, hey, you know what? Not sure that's quite right. And that's where I am right now. A lot of things are just positive, that are going well. I mean, now I'm not a person that's going to ignore the stuff that's not. And I hate when people do that just because other things are going well. But if you look at the grand scheme of things and the overall picture, pretty damn good. We got a lot more coming up on the show today. Indiana football coach Tom Allen's with us. Our good friend Todd Leary joins us as well. We got lots to talk about. Michael Lewis, new assistant at UCLA. We're going to talk about that in the next segment. Stay tuned. Plenty more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back with more after this.
In my house, it's not much to talk about, but it's filled with love that's grown in southern ground, and a little bit of chicken fried. Cold beer on a Friday night, a pair of jeans that fit just right, and the radio up. I like to see sunrise, see the love in my woman's eyes.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat.
And I'm Justin Kalen with Indiana Sports Beat.
Justin, what's your favorite show?
It's got to be Indiana Sports Beat, but I'm not ever sure where to find it.
Well, you can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become one in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
Hey sports fans, this is Lily King. Make sure you tune into Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Well, welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Thanks a lot for taking us along wherever you're going, whatever you may be doing. We appreciate you taking Indiana Sports Beat along for the ride. Jim Coyle with you here. Jake's at the wheel, keeping us on the track. Plenty to get to today. As always, we do it big on Fridays, man. No different today. Indiana head football coach Tom Allen on the show. I cannot wait to talk to Coach. He's always been so gracious with us. We appreciate him joining us again. Third time he's been on the program. Our good friend Todd Leary joins us as well. Lots to talk about. Indiana baseball. I was out in Omaha, the Big Ten tournament. They get bum rushed out 0-2, and they're gone. Bye-bye, Felicia. Bye, Felicia. Indiana will be heading home now from Omaha, preparing for the NCAA tournament. They'll find out their destination on Monday, the NCAA selection show. That takes place at noon. So not exactly the performance that they'd like to have had, but on the brighter side, it gives them the longest break they've had this season. So everyone can get rested up. You can rest the pitching arms up, work on some things, which I know Coach Mercer will have them doing. Not a good hitting performance out there. Not exactly sure what went on with that. They lost to, the number 8 seed Iowa. Not that baseball's a little different. I mean, it's not like Indiana basketball is playing Fairfield or something. But still, they were the number 1 seed, the Big Ten tournament champ. I think they swept Iowa during the regular season. They lose to them in the first game. They lose to Minnesota yesterday in the second game, and they gone. But looking for better things in the NCAA tournament, see where they're going to end up. Maybe Louisville, close, would be close. That would be nice. So we'll find out. But we'll know more on that on Monday. We'll keep following that. Indianapolis 500, of course, this weekend, weather permitting. Today's Carb Day, blowing it out up at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's always a fun time. There's a concert, Foreigner. So got all kinds of things going on there. Juwan Howard, of course, the new coach at Michigan. It could be a great hire. Who knows? I don't know. He's got no collegiate head coaching experience. He has no head coaching experience, period. He's been an assistant in the NBA. The Fab Five's all over this, how great that this is, and getting back to their culture, as they call it, which I saw a piece that they had Jalen Rose on and said, give us what's the 5 top reasons why this is a good hire. He gave the dumbest, stupidest reasons. It's like he had no preparation whatsoever, as if they just sprung this on him, and he wasn't smart enough to come up with things better. But he's a great high school player. He was a McDonald's All-American. He's a Jordan Brand athlete. He's a Jordan Brand athlete. That's the shoes they wear. He was going on about the dumbest things. That does not make you a good basketball coach. Not saying he's not going to be, but, man, if you're going to support it, have something to support it. But we'll see how that turns out for him. Michael Lewis, former Indiana Hoosier, former Nebraska assistant, former Butler assistant. He's heading west, young man, to UCLA, the shiny coast of Los Angeles, University of California, Los Angeles, under Mick Cronin, who is the head coach out there. What a great landing spot for Michael. So happy for him. Probably have Michael on next week. We've been chatting we talk periodically, and was talking right up before that, and he's like, next week might be better. And as soon as he said that, I knew something was coming. I didn't want to press it as I'm sure if he wanted to say he would have, but glad to see that come out. He had a picture of last night. He was out in Los Angeles. You could tell he had a picture of a sack from In-N-Out Burger saying, let's see what all the fuss is. So he's getting indoctrinated into the SoCal lifestyle. Of course, Mick Cronin replaces Steve Alford from IU. Big connection, the state of Indiana and IU, but obviously John Wooden, the longtime champ coach, led him to multiple championships, 10 from Martinsville, Indiana. So the history of UCLA is steeped deeply with a basis of Indiana. Wish Michael all the success in the world. Man, would he be great to have on the staff in Indiana. There's no room at the end. There's no openings, but man, it would sure have been nice if they could have found a spot for him on that staff. I think he just would have been a welcome presence there. But he is landing in a great spot at UCLA. Couldn't be happier for him. Muppet Mark Emmert gets a big-time raise, $3.9 million. Crazy. It's just a joke. They're a joke. I was talking earlier about Fred Glass. I'm wondering why he catches so much flack, because if you look at the overall picture of Indiana University athletics, pretty damn good times. All the facility upgrades, the stadium, you got new Wilkinson Hall for volleyball and wrestling. They are so stoked about that. Those programs are so stoked about that. You've got a new wrestling coach who is Indiana's only NCAA champion. You've got a new volleyball coach who is a steal of a hire that he made. Basketball is the one thing that's in football, but I think football's heading in the right direction. We'll talk to Coach Allen about that, but football's heading in the right direction. They're killing it with recruiting at a level that's never been seen in Indiana before. Basketball is what drives the ship at Indiana, though, and until that gets to where close to where people like to see it, I think that's going to be a mainstay of people holding Fred Glass responsible for that. But I've come to the conclusion that I'm just not sure that that's fair. There's just too much good that's going on at IU. Hopefully we'll talk to Mr. Glass here in the near future. But lots to get to. We've got plenty to talk about. Coming up next, head football coach Tom Allen. Looking forward to talking to Coach. We'll be back with more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat.
And I'm Justin Kalen with Indiana Sports Beat.
Justin, what's your favorite show?
It's got to be Indiana Sports Beat, but I'm not ever sure where to find it.
Well, you can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
Hi, this is AJ Moye, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Hope you're having a great day because we're about to make it better. We're very honored and fortunate to be joined by Indiana head football coach Tom Allen. Coach Allen, how are you, sir?
Oh, man, I'm doing great. Just having an awesome spring, getting ready for these summer months to get rolling here.
Well, I hope you're staying dry, man. We had a lot of rain in Bloomington here the last few days.
No question. It's been that way all spring, and there's no sign of stopping. It's crazy.
Well, thank you again for you and Jeff Kegg, for the media guy, for helping us get this taken care of. But any idea how many miles you travel just in a recruiting season?
You know what? That would be an interesting stat. I've never done that. It would be a whole bunch. I know that, and it's gosh. Sometimes we're in 3 states in one day. I think it's my record for states in one day that I've been in, and so yeah, we log a bunch of hours, a bunch of miles, and that's just part of it, though. That's what we got to do.
Well, and when you originally took this job, a lot of people questioned whether somebody with no collegiate head coach experience could or should start at the Big Ten level. I'll be honest, I was one of those people then. But I got to tell you, man, after watching what you've done, it's just utterly amazing. The results that you're getting on the recruiting side that's never been achieved at Indiana. What does it take besides your unstoppable amount of energy that you have to get something like that accomplished?
Well, I do think it begins with that, because I think it takes a tremendous amount of energy to get on the phone with these recruits, to message them, to get their parents on the phone, to go visit them, to go just to be able to put the time in, because it's about building relationships, and building relationships takes time, and there's no shortcut to it. And so to me, and I've worked with a lot of different guys, and I just believe so strongly that I have to be the strongest recruiter on our staff, and I have to lead by example with that. And that's just, involves a whole bunch of my energy and a whole bunch of my time to be able to build relationships and create an environment where the parents and the decision makers in these young men's lives trust us. And that's what it comes down to.
Well, it's certainly no lack of energy if you've ever been around Coach Allen. You know that's for a fact. But obviously what you're doing is the goal is to be able to compete in the toughest division in all of college football, the Big Ten East. How hard has it been to create a culture of winning in that at that level when there hasn't been one really before, not solidly set?
Yeah, it's a challenge. There's no question about it. And you kind of go through and say, how do you get players here? Well, you got to win. Well, you got to be able to win. You got to have great players to win. And so that dynamic is definitely a challenge. But to me, what you do is you take the guys you have and you develop them and you create an unbelievable amount of belief that they can compete at the highest level, and they've come here to the Big Ten. And then you got to go out and find great players and convince them to come here and convince them to be the reason why the change occurs. And, we don't have a very recent history that allows these kids to look at. So my whole goal has been to create a vision for what the future is going to be, and that they can come here and be a big part of that future and make history here at Indiana and do things that have happened in the past but not in their lifetime. And some kids that really resonates with. They want to come here and be a part of making history. And so, but you got to take the guys you got here right now, and we got to develop them. We got to find ways to close out these close games and finish those close games. And so you create some momentum with on-the-field success. Right now we've created a lot of momentum with recruiting success. And those guys, this 2019 class, most of them aren't even here yet, and so they'll be arriving here in about a week. But that's the big class we just signed. The class before that, they obviously are here as freshmen, and those guys are being developed. So it's just taking these guys that are on campus to developing them as players, developing them mentally, and creating a belief that they can go out there and get the job done on game day.
You've maintained, talking about developing, you've maintained a lot of continuity on your staff. Something else that's very tough to do, especially in a situation where you're trying to build something or grow something. It's hard to get everybody to stay and buy in and all that, but you've really done a pretty good job of that.
Well, that also goes into, I would say they would agree with this because we've talked about it openly, that they believe in what we're doing. Some guys had opportunities to go other places, but they see the vision, they see the progress we're making, they believe in the culture we're creating, and they know we're really, really close. And they want to be here when it changes because they know it's going to be special. They know it's something that hasn't happened for a long time, and there's just there's an environment here that coaches love to be in because their family's valued, their time is valued. Yeah, there's no doubt we work really, really, really hard, but I try to create an environment where they can be great husbands and fathers as well as be great football coaches, and that's the balance that you have to have, and that's something that is hard to find and it's hard to get in this profession, and I've done it long enough to know that it's not that way everywhere. So I think that's helped us with our continuity, and it's a fun environment to be in. We work extremely hard together for each other and with each other.
And being a relatively new head coach still, what is the toughest thing you've seen as being a head coach that maybe wasn't as obvious from being an assistant?
Oh, just the time demands. You just get spread so thin. I think that, when you're an assistant and focusing on your area of responsibilities, you're busy and you're recruiting and you're coaching and all those things. But then when now you're sitting in this chair and you're over so many things that have nothing to do with game day, or things that perceive to be football-related things that take so much of your time, and any issue that comes up, you're part of it, whether it's academic issues or off-the-field issues or something in housing or whatever it happens with our players and something in recruiting. And so, you just find yourself being in a position where you've got to, wear a lot of different hats and be very, very organized and have a great plan so you can be efficient in your time.
Part of that was elevating Kane Womack to the defensive coordinator position. You relinquished those duties, something that people really, they were excited that when you were there because you did a crazy amount of job of turning that defense around. But you're also still part of the defense, but you've really turned the duties over to him. And I know that. How hard was that for you to do?
Well, I think it was something that I knew I needed to do. And I think that when you go through and you start to realize, as I mentioned before, with the schedule and the time demands, all those things, I got to the point where I felt like that I knew it was time to make that adjustment. But when it comes to actually doing it during the season, I think it's going to be the hardest point, is on game day when I'm not making those decisions, and I got to do a great job of trusting Coach Womack and this defensive staff and the decisions they're going to make and the calls. Now, I'm going to be involved with the game planning part of that. I'm going to watch all that film with those guys. But when it actually comes to calling that, I'm going to relinquish that. And I think that's the hard part. You got to, be able to not second guess and realize that everybody has their own thoughts on things. But I will say the system is in place, and Kane understands it, and it's not going to be dramatically different. And so I think we got that established. We got a culture established of how we're going to play defense and an expectation how hard we're going to play, how we're going to create takeaways, how we're going to be very fundamentally sound, tackle extremely well, and play very hard. So I feel good about that, and I think that because he's been here for a whole year, he knows the system inside and out. I feel great about the decision.
You also have a new offensive coordinator in Kalen DeBoer. Now that you're the head coach and you don't have as much duties on the one side of the ball, is it hard to not involve yourself more on the offensive side? To trust them?
It can be. Yeah, and I've seen head coaches, I've been with several different coaches. Most of them have been offensive-minded guys, and I see him, in the past I see him kind of come on the defensive side or come into our meetings and kind of just meddle a little bit and this and that, and I usually saw it not be very positive because they weren't in there all the time, and then sometimes the things that you felt that the coordinator felt pressured to maybe do those things that they were suggesting, even though it may not fit with what you're trying to accomplish or your overall system. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to meddle, but I definitely want to be an assistant. So I want to be able to, make sure I have a great feel for what they're doing, why they're doing it, so I can hold them accountable for the things that we say we want to do as an offensive staff. And so there's things I want to see done and things accomplished. And so, yeah, like I said, I don't want to meddle on that side of the ball, but I want to be able to be a part of what they're doing and help them, be effective. And at the end of the day, you hire great people and you let them do their job. That's what I want to do with Caleb.
And talk about the offense, man. He's got a lot of nice pieces to work with. Is this the deepest unit you've seen at your time at Indiana overall, period?
Yeah, I would say on both sides of the football, there's more good players. There's guys at every position that I think can make plays and do good things. And we got depth at quarterback for the first time since I've been here and in a long time in our program. And we got a bunch of receivers and several running backs. And probably the biggest concern or question mark is depth on the offensive line. I love our first unit with that group, but we got some young guys that have to come along with that. But other than that position, there's a lot of experience depth, at the receiver spot and at running back and quarterback. So I just feel like that, that would probably be an accurate statement.
And in sports, we hear a lot of certain buzzwords all the time, and one of them is buy-in. But I hate to be cliche, but man, this team certainly seems to be bought in down to a man, and there's nothing more difficult than to get 150 people to agree and be on the same page.
It is a challenge for sure, but it's one of my number one objectives and responsibilities is to create that buy-in with this team, and it's grown every single year I've been here, and it is at an all-time high since I've been here. I want it to continue to grow, and they believe in what we're doing. They believe in our strength staff. They believe in the off-season program that we're doing. They believe in what we're doing on the field, and I think that's indicative of how hard they're working right now in the weight room. And the month of May is a discretionary month. Can't make them stay here and be here, but by the numbers, and you see the majority of our team chose to do that, and they're here working hard, and that's a great sign, and that shows that they have bought in and they do believe, and they're hungry. We got a big chunk of our team that haven't had an opportunity to play in a bowl game, and they want that. They're hungry for that, and they know that they got to do the little things right and be willing to sacrifice for this team, and that's where LEO is so huge with when you talk about staff retention. I think that's a big part of that. That's not just for the players, it's for our staff as well, and then the buy-in as well is just a part of that whole equation of the culture that you create and guys that want to be here and that have invested and work really, really hard, and they love each other, they care about each other, and they train their tails off for each other.
Obviously, back-to-back 5 and 7 seasons, not what you'd wanted, but everyone that I've talked to, that I hear speak, everything seems to be going in the right direction. What do you have to do next to really get over that hump and to get to where you're trying to get to?
Yeah, it's very disappointing, to finish the second year with another 5 and 7 record that saw us be in so many close games again that could have changed everything with one play here, one play there. So, I think the number one thing is depth. That to me, that's what it comes down to, and it's depth on both sides of the football and special teams, and that to me is what we have to keep building. That's why the recruiting is so huge, and and bringing in another class, even though we're still going to be young. We're only going to have 12 seniors this year, 10 juniors. That's a very, very young football team, but we have some experienced youth that will pay dividends, I believe. We played a bunch of those guys last year, and then some freshmen coming in, they're going to have a chance to contribute. And just that depth that those guys create and developing our players to be able to create an environment where, we can roll guys in and it gets late in the game, late in the third quarter, late in the fourth quarter, where we found ourselves in these games and having opportunities to win these games. We have to be able to execute at a high level in those points, and having fresher guys that can execute, and bringing in a number two that is not a major drop off from the number one is a big part of that, and making those competitive plays and just allowing us to finish. So to me, it's recruiting, it's player development to create that depth.
Coach, you're entering your third season, and football's different than any other sport. In that building or turning something around, it's like trying to turn the Titanic and not hit that iceberg. I know you were probably confident from day one, but was there a moment where you felt, hey, this ship is really turning?
I just would say probably last season when we knew we were so young. And it's one of those seasons that could have gone either direction, because we play a lot of good football teams, and you have to fight and claw and scratch to win football games at this level. And so being as young as we were and playing so many freshmen and having so many guys that are so green on the field, to be able to still know that we're going toe-to-toe with the best in the country, and we're getting late in games against top 10 teams and top 25 teams, and we're a play here and a play there from with a really, really young football team, knowing that we're right there. And then you sign a class that's the highest ranked class in the history of the program after going 5 and 7 for 2 years in a row. But you see that the belief is there, and the excitement for the program is there from the recruits and their families, and they see the change. They see on the field that we're becoming a complete football team in all three phases. And we got to keep getting better. We got to keep working hard, and we got to continue to do the things that we're doing. But I just think that the progress is evident to me. I know there's critics out there, and they should be, and no one's as patient as anybody wants us to be, and we all want it now, and I do too. And so, but I do feel like that, to see us be able to go in year two with losing so many key seniors on defense and come back in year two and not being as good on defense, yes, but also being able to be right there with the top teams in the country, and to be able to be exchanging blows with them when it matters and late in games. And so just having to know that when it happens week after week after week, it's not something that's just by chance. This is what we've created. This is where we are, and we just got to continue to stay the course.
Yeah, I'm not sure if everyone grasps the depth of the challenge, but not only do you play in the toughest division in all of college football, the Big Ten East, but you also get the opportunity to go to Nebraska next year, Penn State, Michigan State, and at Purdue. A very challenging schedule.
There's no question, and it's that way every year, and with the two teams we draw in the other side of the division outside of Purdue are Northwestern, who won the West last year, and then at Nebraska, which is always a very difficult place to play. And so, that every single season, it's just going to be that way here. And so you just embrace it, and I know that that's makes it difficult for sure, and it makes it difficult to create change in that environment without the doubt. But I think that's why the recruiting piece is so critical. That's why I have to work so hard at recruiting, and that's one reason why I felt like even stepping back as D coordinator, once we got that level of play established on that side of the ball, was critical for me to now focus even more on recruiting and do a better job, because I know that we got to keep putting classes together, and we got to stack 2 and 3 and 4 classes together. Right now we've got 2 that we've been able to put together since our staff's been here, and I've been the head coach. And so we got to get ready for number 3, and then we got to get ready for number 4. And so once you get all those classes together, then you'll start seeing, I think, the true change of a system that's in place, that's developing players, recruiting players, and doing a great job of finishing out games.
And you've talked about depth, and of course recruiting is the lifeblood of any program, but you've really embraced the rule change that allows freshmen to play those 4 games without burning the red shirt season. How helpful has that been in you guys trying to get to where you're getting?
I think it's been very important. I think it was I knew it was going to be a great rule when they voted it in, and it proved to be that way, just because of getting guys a chance to get their feet wet, and still have another year to develop and not burn that whole year just for playing a snap or two. And so you get a chance to get guys in there. Now we've had to really strategically sit down and have a whole plan of attack for that, when you're going to play those guys, how you're going to play those guys, and whether it's early in the season, middle of the season, or end of the season. And so we have a whole board in our meeting room where we go through our freshmen and talk about who's going to come. And you really don't know that until you kind of get through fall camp, but we'll have a pretty clear picture after that with this current freshman class. But I think you have to maximize your roster, and that's one thing we've tried to really do here that allows us to create more depth at key times and key situations, especially on special teams. And so that, to me, is it just takes a lot of effort on our part to be able to get that all lined up.
You've run a really balanced recruiting attack. You go after the top in-state kids, and then you got those from the key battle areas, Florida, where you have great relationships, expanded that to Detroit areas. But talk about the importance of the homegrown kids for this Indiana program.
Well, they're the foundation, and I'm an Indiana kid myself, born and raised here, and just believe in the guys that come here from Indiana and what it means to them to be able to be a part of this great university and play for their home state. And I want to do a great job of convincing those best players in Indiana to come to IU and play football. And if they we want to be able to get a core of those guys, because I think they care so much. They're going to fight like crazy to help us beat Purdue, and they're going to fight like crazy to get this program where they know they want it to be, and their families want it to be, and their home high schools want it to be, and their home high school coaches want it to be. And that to me is very, very important, and it makes it very powerful. But then you got to mix that in with guys from across the country that want to be here and are talented enough to help us win in the Big Ten. So yeah, it's a universal approach, but it all starts at home.
To follow up on that, it's camping season. The Indiana football camps are coming up. They present a great opportunity for high schoolers to get a taste of big-time college football, to get a taste of Indiana, but it also helps you and your staff to see some of these kids.
Absolutely. There's nothing like a live evaluation. And since I can't go out in the spring to evaluate players, it's very important that we get into a camp. So June 1st is our first mega camp. We got every university, every college in the state of Indiana will be here from all different levels, from Division III up to the Big Ten, and then some MAC schools and even some D2 schools and 1AAs outside the surrounding states, but really Midwest focus. And then we've got team camp here as well. We got 7-on-7 on June 8th that teams will come to, and then we've got 5 days where we go and we travel around. And so we go to all of our top recruiting areas and do satellite camps. And we have 5 of those that we can do legally, and we'll go down there and maximize our 10-day window that we have to be able to get guys either on campus or us to physically go see them and get eyes on them so we can evaluate them. So it's a very important time for us.
I know HoosierSportsCamps.com is a place where they can go, probably call the football office if they need any information as well.
Absolutely, and that's the website to get on. You can register there, and it's about getting seen. And that's one reason, the big thing that is for our mega camp is that I realize not every single young man that comes is going to play in the Big Ten. So we try and I've coached at every level except for junior college. So I want all those small college guys and mid-level guys to be able to be here and evaluate. And it's about finding a home and an opportunity for someone to be able to extend their career and get their education paid for and help them create a future for themselves. So that's what we're trying to do here.
Coach Allen from Indiana football, I cannot thank you enough. You've always been so gracious with us and with your time. We really, really appreciate you.
Oh, absolutely. You're very, very welcome, and have yourself an awesome week. Go IU and LEO.
Thank you, Coach. Coach Tom Allen from Indiana
buddy.
football, thank you very much. And we'll be back with more here on Indiana Sports Beat from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat.
And I'm Justin Kalen with Indiana Sports Beat.
Justin, what's your favorite show?
It's got to be Indiana Sports Beat, but I'm not ever sure where to find it.
Well, you can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become one in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
This is former Indiana basketball player Greg Graham. Keep up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Back to Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Appreciate you joining us. Man, that was awesome with Tom Allen. He's so gracious. You cannot not root for him. A lot of things going on in Bloomington right now. There's a track regional in Bloomington North. I was down at Buffalo Louis watching the baseball game yesterday, and I ran into Ed Messer from Silver Creek. His son, Easton, was up here. He's the only freshman, I think, in the 100. But cool seeing people from all over. But joined now by our good friend Todd Leary. Todd, how's it going, brother?
It is going great. How about you, bud?
Good. I was trying to get Jake to play Welcome Back, Cotter. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back.
Hey, I missed 1 week, and all of a sudden you're throwing jokes at me.
I wasn't even talking about that. I was talking about Welcome Back to Indiana.
Oh, okay. I like it. Thank you.
Yeah, I wouldn't crack on you for that, man. But now that you brought it up,
Yeah, you absolutely would. You think you did all week, actually, on my text messages.
How's it going, brother?
It's going good. I'm doing great. As you alluded to, I moved, had a good job change and moved back to Indiana and live in Evansville. And I've been here for a week, and I've had to see Pat Graham 3 times already. And so there's the negative side of it. So I've got that out of the way. Everything else is great.
Yeah, but who's that a negative for, you or him?
Well, it depends on which one you're asking.
I promise you. But yeah, you all could you could almost start a reunion basketball team down there. You add Calvert Chaney to the mix.
Yeah, well, I mean, it would be even worse than it was back then when we just threw him the ball and stood there and watched, because Pat and I are so far out of shape. I don't think there would be much contribution from the two of us.
Yeah, I saw a picture. Pat posted some pictures. He was fishing down at Lake Barkley. He had a big old group with him, man, but big time fishing going on.
He is big time hillbilly. You are right on the
money. Oh, man, he's too big for me to say that, man. He's much too big for me in all ways. A lot going on. Indiana baseball, man. They got bounced out of the Big Ten tournament after winning the Big Ten championship. Didn't win a game out in Omaha. I don't know if you follow baseball much.
Yeah, I do. I've obviously on social media stuff, having so many IU people on Facebook and stuff like that. That's kind of how I've followed most of it. But I don't follow baseball that closely. But when Indiana is doing well in college baseball, it's kind of fun to follow that. And it's that whole thing of that's your alma mater and where you went to. Heck, we end up following everything. I just wish I wish back in school that was one of the things we were more a part of. I wish we'd gone to more soccer games, and obviously we went to the football games and things like that. But I just wish there was more involvement and interaction between the basketball team and some of the other sports. But it's a little late for me to worry about that now.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I agree. I think about that all the time. Just as a student, I wish that I would have done a lot more. Like you mentioned, the soccer program. It was great then. It's great now, but it was great then. And I wish I would have been more involved in. I mean, it doesn't matter. Volleyball. Who cares? Yeah. I wish I'd have been much.
I totally agree. I mean, we would. There was very little. Crossing paths with a lot of the other sports, because in basketball, we had our own workout facility and all that in Assembly Hall. And, we just didn't end up crossing paths with people that much. We had our own training room. We had our own trainer. We had our own workout facility. And so it just, that's one of the things that I think is overlooked by a lot of programs. But I do think people are doing it better now, doing a lot better job of it when you've got you've got the big sports complexes that these universities are putting together, these multi-million-dollar workout facilities and practice facilities. I think it does lead more to putting all the programs together where there's more interaction. But yeah, it's like you said, at the time, it was just always, I felt like I was too busy. I felt like we had too much going on, and you're always trying to get a nap if you ever have free time. And, later on in life, that's just one of the things you wish you'd have done different.
Absolutely. A lot going on, a lot to talk about today, really, much more than normal. One of the things I was talking about earlier is a lot of people really give a lot of grief to Fred Glass. And I've been one of those people. I can openly admit that. But the more I think about it, I'm like, man, if you look at the overall picture of Indiana athletics right now, it's really trending in a pretty damn good direction. You got all these facility upgrades. The stadium's enclosed. It looks great. They just got a new building for wrestling and volleyball. Some great hires at coaches for that. Baseball's doing well. Soccer obviously doing well. Swimming and diving is back to where it used to be. The women's basketball team is doing well. The women's golf team just qualified for the NCAA for the first time in a long time. So many good things. And he catches a lot of grief. And I'm like, you know what? I don't know that it's really warranted.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it comes down to the situation of I think Indiana's a basketball school, and when you want to be super specific or egotistical about it, from my perspective, it's a men's basketball school, and when that program is not one of what the fans consider top 5 or an all-time top 5 program like it had been for so many years. I think you get judged based on that 95% of people's opinion of you, and all the other good stuff can probably add up to 5%. And so it could work out exactly the opposite. He could be doing horrible and have a bunch of terrible hires, and every other program be doing poorly, and the basketball program make the Final Four 3 out of 4 years, and everybody think he's the greatest AD in the world. So, he's in a situation where he is going to be judged a lot based on the history of the school and the men's basketball program, and that's what you sign up for when you take a job like that. Same way with Archie. I mean, those guys, they took the job knowing how big the basketball program is, and that's just a part of it, I think.
It's funny you say that. I said the exact same thing, but I just didn't say it nearly as eloquently as you did. You just nailed it.
Yeah, a lot of people get that. I mean, I'm so smooth in how things roll off my tongue. It's just don't
silver
judge
tongue
yourself
devil,
based
baby.
on that, Jim.
Another thing, it came out yesterday. Mark Emmert, I call him Muppet Mark Emmert, but the head of the NCAA, a 60% increase in salary. He makes nearly $4 million a year, and that comes out now. We just had like a month or so, or maybe 6 weeks ago. Adidas signed that new deal with Kansas, a blockbuster deal. All this stuff going on in the midst of the FBI corruption stuff that's going on with college basketball. Is that just not good timing to do stuff like that?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's probably it doesn't work out great, and that's one of the things I'm sure from their perspective they kind of hope would not be publicized as much as it really is. But these situations like this, and you get it's very difficult, and I think there's a lot of part of my life I would have made a judgment on, what kind of job I thought Fred Glass was doing, or the president of the university or the president of the NCAA, and I don't even know these people. I know Fred Glass fairly well, and everything that's ever had anything to do with me, he has been great and nothing but professional. So how could I ever think anything negative about him or the job that he's doing? And when you're talking about situations like what the NCAA is dealing with, and is there ever going to be a good time when that? Name a president of a situation like that. I mean, look at the guy that runs the NFL, and look at all the people that are in such huge positions. Everybody has a problem with them, it seems like. Everyone wants to talk about how negative things are for them, and I don't know a lot about what his day-to-day job is. It'd be kind of difficult and silly for me to criticize what he does, but I would say the timing and everything of someone in that position announcing a huge salary increase, yeah, obviously that's a poor situation and poor timing, but I don't really know enough about what he does on a day-to-day basis to have a great opinion of whether I think he's good or bad.
Michigan basketball, big news for them is John Beilein is replaced by Juwan Howard. It's just kind of funny. All the Fab Five guys are all about talking about, we get back to the culture, blah, 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 which I think kind of funny because I don't really know what kind of culture that was. They didn't really win anything. Yeah. They had some cheating going on. John Beilein, Jalen Rose commented that there was no McDonald's All-Americans and blah, blah, but yet he won 2 Big Ten titles. He went to 2 national championship games, and he did it cleanly. So it's just funny that they want to get back to some culture.
Yeah, I mean, that's a situation they're going to try to put a positive spin on whatever, however they can. That's a shock. I mean, I don't think any when you look at his age, John Beilein's age, and where he is in his career, the peak of his college basketball coaching career right now at Michigan, I sure didn't see that on my radar as a coach that might be moving on, especially to the NBA or starting a new career path. When you're up there in age like he is, so I didn't see that happening for Michigan or at Michigan. So they're going to put a positive spin on whoever ends up taking that job. I mean, I always thought Juwan Howard I thought he was the toughest guy. When we would put game plans together, we, like Coach Knight and I, got together and did that. When Coach Knight would put a game plan together for the Fab Five, I'm telling you, a lot of it focused around Juwan Howard. And I know Chris Webber and Jalen Rose got the majority of the publicity, but Juwan Howard was the guy who, I mean, he dominated a lot of games. And yes, he had a long NBA career. It's hard to say he didn't get the notoriety, but out of the Fab Five, he was definitely the third most popular person on out of that group. And he was a tough player. He was a very tough guy to defend, and he could do a lot of different things. And I'm interested to see how a guy like he will do in coaching. It's just not been too many guys that have stepped in and made a huge impact. And when you're talking about the situation he's stepping into, I mean, he's the culture better provide something, because he is stepping into a program that's not in decline. It's not in a bad situation. So he's got to have some success really quickly, or it's going to look like a poor move.
Yeah, and I have said it a couple times this week, or since this came about, that I think that this has a large part of a reflection on what's going on at Memphis with Penny Hardaway and the splash that he's made in the recruiting. And even though he didn't have, he coached in AAU, but he had no collegiate head coaching experience, or coaching experience, period, for that matter, at the collegiate level. But he's made this gigantic splash with the #1 recruiting class. And kids today, man, they want that big splash hire, that NBA look and all that. And I think that's a big part of why maybe that he got the job.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we got to make some excuses somehow how he got the job, because, it's not based on he had a great college coaching career at a different place. And now, this is the next step up for him, or he's the natural fit when the head coaching position became available. I mean, I know you and I talked about during the week, Dane Fife being a perfect match. Now, we're also IU homers, so we're going to root for the guy who has a tie to the Indiana basketball program. But, it'll be tough. It'll be a few years before they can really judge. They'll say what they say every time they hire somebody new. Until he gets his players, you can't really judge what kind of job he's doing. And that buys him a few years at least anyway. But it's a tough position to step into. They have had an enormous amount of success, and they've not necessarily done it with top 5 recruits all year long, or a Fab Five program. So we'll see how that ends up playing out.
Someone I do think is going to be a hell of a head coach one day, and Michael Lewis, who just got a new job out in Los Angeles with Mick Cronin and UCLA.
Yeah, I mean, that's I root big time, obviously, for all the IU guys and the assistant coaches across the country. And I think I've said on the show enough times how much I think of Michael Lewis as a person and a coach, and he was such a competitor and just the kind of guy that I'd love to root for. I mean, that whole Tom Coverdale, Michael Lewis, tough, gritty attitude guy that's what makes college basketball fun to me versus watching the NBA and some of that stuff. So. I'm super happy for him. I think he'll do great. He'll bring a lot to that program. I think I said it to you before, and I think we both agree. It won't be very long before he's named a head coach somewhere, and he'll do a great job in that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, he is a super great guy, but I think he's a good coach. He still has that grit that you talked about that was the hallmark of his playing career, and something that a lot of players lack today, a lot of teams lack today, and it's good to see. Would have loved to see him on the IU staff.
Yeah, I would too, and it's just some things are just not meant to be and not to work out that way. And I think he would have been a great fit. I think he could have brought in, that Michael Lewis, that Archie Miller type player where they ran the program. They were there for 4 years. They're probably from the state. Now that's me being a homer again, but I think he would have brought in that player that I love to watch play. I don't know if you can do that at a place like UCLA. It'll be interesting to see if he can. And that's something that obviously we know how that affects Indiana basketball, but I'm not sure other, big time programs and national programs look at it the same way that Indiana has for years, because they watched Bob Knight do it so many, year after year with so many different teams. So that's my third quota of 3 Bob Knight references in one phone call. So I can stop saying it.
The IU connection to UCLA continues. It's kind of odd. I mean, he's there now, and then you had Steve Alford before him, and then you can go away from that and just have an Indiana connection. Obviously, John Wooden. So, the history of UCLA and its current state as well, a big, big connection with Indiana.
Yeah, it is kind of strange, but it just seems to keep working out that way. But like I said, I think Michael will do great. It wouldn't matter what school I thought he went to. I think he'll have a huge impact on it, and he'll be one of those guys that is an assistant for a couple years, and then after that, he'll move on and get a decent sized coaching job pretty early.
What is that a good location for him to be right now?
I don't see how it could be bad. I mean, he was he probably got as much publicity as an assistant coach at Nebraska as you could get. I mean, he was. You could watch timeouts, and I'm one of those nerds that watches what happens when the guys go to timeout and all that. And the head coach always seemed to go right to Michael when they would go to a timeout and be drawing up plays and talking to players. And getting to do that at UCLA on national TV more often, if he can avoid Bill Walton and any influence that Bill Walton could have on him out there, then I think he'll do just fine.
Well, he's already hit the In-N-Out burger. But, Todd, thank you, sir. Welcome back, and I appreciate you as always.
I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you very much, and look forward to talking to you next week.
All right, brother. Todd Leary, great from Indiana's past. Look forward to talking to him. That's going to wrap it up today from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. We'll be back. Monday will be a best of because it's a holiday. Enjoy the holiday weekend, everybody. For Jake, I'm Jim Coyle, and I will see you on the radio.